selling program cattle and the foundation for success. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up Radio Show. I'm Jeff Tigger Earhart.
And I'm Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck.
A big thank you goes out to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health, bringing us Multimin and Lactopro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange and the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients, bringing us Pharmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. Cow Country News, you know, the cow stuff.
Our first story out the chute. Companies that tote certain animal raising and environmental claims on meat and poultry labels will need more documentation according to updated guidelines from the USDA. The agency said the move aligns with efforts to protect consumers from misleading labels and supports President Biden's executive order on promoting competition in the American economy. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack emphasized that these updates promote the transparency and fairness, ensuring that consumers can trust the labels on meat products. The guidelines strongly encourage third-party certification to validate claims such as raised without antibiotics, grass-fed, free-range, and climate-friendly. Next, the USDA has authorized the first field trials for an H5N1 highly pathogenic avian influenza vaccine designed specifically for use in cattle. USDA's Center for Veterinary Biologics has issued public notice that it is now accepting submissions for field studies to support conditional or full licensure of non-viable, non-replicating vaccines. Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack said in Boone, Iowa, at the annual Farm Progress Show that there are a number of companies that have been working on vaccines, and one company has now presented sufficient information to the USDA to allow him to authorize the first field trial of a vaccine for cattle, H5N1, for safety purposes. The initial field study of non-viable, non-replicating vaccine against highly pathogenic avian influenza, H5N1, is to be administered to dairy cattle to evaluate safety. According to the USDA, this would be the first field safety study for a bovine-specific H5N1 vaccine and the first time a HPAI vaccine field study would be conducted outside a laboratory setting or on any type of commercial farm in the United States. The agency emphasized that the field trials will only involve non-viable, non-replicating vaccines that do not cause virus shedding. Cattle vaccinated thereby cannot transmit virus to other animals, milk, meat, people, or into the environment, and these cattle and their products will stay in normal production. Uruguay has recently jumped to sixth rapidly as a market for Uruguayan beef, a trend likely to continue into next year, according to a new report from the USDA's Foreign Agricultural Service. Uruguay has recently jumped to sixth among the countries of origin for U.S. beef imports. And according to MeetingPlace.com, for much of the summer of 2024, McDonald's has marketed value in the U.S., seeing lower income consumer traffic drop noticeably as food inflation has risen. The dynamic has eroded the fast food giant's original reason for being as a low-cost convenience for busy families. In other markets, it's the flip side of the coin. McDonald's is rolling out its decadently large Big Arch burger in Canada and reportedly other international markets such as Portugal. By decadent, the Big Arch burger boasts a half-pound of Canadian beef patties, 3 slices of white processed cheese, crispy onions, and slivered onions, pickles, lettuce, and the delicious Big Arch sauce. It weighs in with 1,030 calories just by itself. It also contains 96% of the recommended daily fat intake for the average adult. McDonald's has been testing the sandwich in non-U.S. markets since May. That's a wrap from the newsroom. This is Rebecca Warner with the Ranch It Up Radio Show.
And moving on to the What's Your Beef trivia contest that we were celebrating, moving up to our 200th episode last week. Here was your question that we had for our 200th episode. What is the university that Beck and I attended? We both got an animal science degree. The colors are green and yellow, and the mascot, think of Tatanka. Well, the answer to that one is NDSU, North Dakota State University. Both Beck and I graduated from there, got our animal science degree. So I actually grabbed two winners because both of these came in pretty much right at about the same time. So congratulations first goes to Dawson from Blackfoot, Idaho. Dawson, you've got a swag package. You've got a Ranch It Up vest. We're going to throw a tee in there. We're going to throw a lid in there, some other Ranch It Up swag that we have. Same goes for Mark from Guntersville, Alabama. Guntersville, Alabama. Like I said, both of these came in both at the same time. I'm feeling generous. So, Mark, you've got a whole swag package coming your way, so make sure you watch the mailbox on that. And some sales to tell you all about that we're part of here with the Ranch It Up Radio Show and with Ranch Channel. Jorgensen Land and Cattle. We've been running some commercials for them already. Their 2024 Motherlode Angus female sale. Angus enthusiasts, take a look at this one. It's coming up fast. Saturday, September 21st at the farm in Ideal, South Dakota. You can bid and buy online at DV Auction and SuperiorLivestock.com. For all of your information, catalogs, and videos and sale books, head to ranchchannel.com. We've got some performance test information available there already on the bulls. You can start putting them into order. Head to ranchchannel.com. Videos and catalogs coming soon. That's ISA Beef Masters in San Angelo, Texas. And then heading to Minnesota, Clear Springs Cattle Company, the Bred for Balance sale, Simmental and Sim Angus genetics. For the first time ever, they're having an all-female sale November 30th. Over 100 bred cows are up for sale, including a complete dispersal of the mature cow herd and all the red females on the ranch. No, they are not going out of business. They're just fine-tuning their cow herd and offering some of these genetics up for sale. Clear Springs Cattle Company, November 30th. Coming up, program feeder cattle. Are they worth it? The Ranch It Up Radio Show will be back right after this. At Transova Genetics, it's simple. Their mission is to provide opportunity and advantage through genetic acceleration. Sounds great, but what does it mean? That means using the latest technology to get your cow herd where you want it and where you need it as quickly and efficient as possible. So, from now until September 30th, any donor cow collected via IVF will receive a $100 discount. Genetics you need and money back in your pocket. To schedule an appointment or consultation, head to transova.com. The Jorgensen Land and Cattle 2024 Motherlode Angus female sale, Saturday, September 21st at the farm in Ideal, South Dakota.
When you work with a program with this kind of depth of history, the richness of the performance data, and everything combined, it's really a one-of-a-kind, and it promises to be a unique event. Certainly, if you appreciate Angus cattle, you will not want to miss this event.
Attend in person or watch and bid live on DV Auction or Superior Livestock. Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Saturday, September 21st at the farm in Ideal, South Dakota. ranchchannel.com. I'll give you all just a few seconds to head there on your phone. ranchchannel.com. Go ahead. ranchchannel.com. Your farm and ranch network on demand. Bull sales, western events, product information right at your fingertips on the ultimate cowboy-friendly platform. Want to follow up-to-date markets? We got you all covered. ranchchannel.com. No need to dig for information on all those different websites. It's all right there on ranchchannel.com. Y'all are loving it now, aren't you? Cattle Battle. Welcome back to the Ranch It Up Radio Show. It's the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find. It's your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be hanging out with y'all. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, ideas, it doesn't matter. Give us a call or text 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. And our email is ranchitupshow@gmail.com, and prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Last week, we recapped Superior Livestock's Bighorn Classic sale. Clint Berry joined us talking about the current cattle market and what we could perhaps expect this fall. And many of you reached out asking about third-party cattle, third-party verification, program cattle, and there's lots of great programs out there. I have Clint Berry, the Hoss, back with us again today. Well, let's talk program cattle for a little bit. You know, for years and years and years, we've talked program cattle. We believe in it. We believe in third-party verification and in opportunities for a person to potentially create a premium is really what I'm trying to say. So did you see on that Bighorn Classic sale that those type of program cattle, were they bringing a premium? You know, say if they were Top Dollar or if they were Allied Genetic Resource calves or whatever the case is, you know, if they were GAP certified, did you see a premium getting brought for those cattle?
Yes, you do, and you got to be careful. We like to lump everything into and say program, and it, you know, what that means is a little bit like on the flea market. There's a lot of definitions. It's a very subjective term, but as you add value to those cattle, and in my mind, there are several ways to do that. Number one, the base of operation is your genetics. So the better your cow herd is at the base core of their genetics, you know, how the breed types and then what they are within those breed types, that is the foundation for all value. Animal health layers in there next, because I don't care how good it is. If it gets sick and dies, it's not worth anything. And then on top of that, you start adding in those layers that are in essence, the side dishes that can really start to differentiate once you have your base in place. And that's the third party programs in any market. In our evaluation, if you go through and analyze the Superior data, you know, every year Merck Animal Health and Kansas State go through and break our numbers out, and they'll spit back results. While the amounts differ, the trend line remains. And the better cattle you have, the more highly managed, meaning the way they're vaccinated, dewormed, taken care of, and the added value programs you add to them, those cattle are always going to bring more money. Now, there's years they bring more than others, and I think, this is my personal opinion, but in general, when you talk about the cattle market as a whole, rising tide floats all boats. The fact that all cattle, regardless if it's the best one you've ever seen or the worst one, are worth more now than they were. When that happens, all cattle values go up. But marginally speaking, the average cattle probably get an increase in value more than compared to the top, because it's harder to get the same amount on the top end when you've already been getting the top than it is when you've been getting the average or below average. It's easier to pick up that ground. So just conversational pieces. If cattle have went up $50 in value, it's easier for a guy that's been selling below the market to get $50 in value than it is for a guy that's been getting $20 already above the market to get the same $50. And that's just harder. That's the rising tide, floats all boats. So typically when you're in a hot market, you're in a market where cattle are really high, the spread is still, the margin is still there. It's just not the same amount. So the cattle with better genetics, better herd health, weaned versus non-weaned, the cattle that have third-party programs that can add some value after it, those cattle are going to bring more than the cattle that don't. That's not going to change. However, the amount of difference between them does narrow, in my opinion, when the market's higher. It's still there. It just narrows. It's harder for me to show you a $15 a head wean premium when you're in an up market than you are in a down. That's just as a rule of thumb, that's kind of how it is. So yes, that premium's still there. Just understand that is the spread as much as it is before. And I would say, no, that's narrowed. And that's because of the leverage that we have on being short supplied. Guys that are got to have cattle to fill them slots, whether they're programmed or non-programmed, it's just putting pressure on everybody and forcing them into it. I sold some GAP cattle on Tuesday. We shipped them today. The steers went non-GAP. The heifers went GAP. Same producer's cattle. And that's what you see when you get a up market, you get a strong market. You'll have guys that want to buy really good front end cattle even if they're not going to keep them in the program. And so it does vary some. That's not normal, but it does happen. This doesn't happen in a year when, cattle are 40% lower in value than what they are right now. That kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Kind of like we were talking with program cattle. Doesn't matter what business in the cattle, or I should say what sector of the cattle business that we're in. If we're selling feeders, we're selling bulls. It doesn't matter. The average cattle bring an average price. Good cattle bring a good price. Great cattle bring a great price, regardless of where the market is at, based on our genetics, our management, our nutrition, and our health. That's the bottom line there, Hoss.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with that more. And I'll go back to what I said before. That's in a good market or a bad market. Those fundamentals hold. The margins between them differ, and it can get frustrating at times. But that's whether we're selling $1 calves or $4 calves, or we're selling $4,500 bulls or $12,000 bulls, and whether we're selling 45-cent weigh-up cows like we did most of my life, or we're selling $1.45 weigh-up cows now, which would be a really poor number in the market. It's tremendous what's out there, but those marketing fundamentals never change. If you want to know how to make your cattle bring more money, look at it from being a buyer, not a seller. What can I do to improve my product that it works for me on my ranch within my fences, and then draw the most amount of attention by it through the marketing avenues that I use, and add as much value I can for the guy buying it. And that every time is 100% success rate on how to make your cattle bring the most that you can get. If you'll use that recipe, you'll never burn the cake. It'll work every time. It varies year to year with the way the market goes, but the fundamentals never change.
Clint, these are some really great points to keep in mind. And remember that margin that Clint was talking about. Know what you need. Know your break even. Knowledge and information is power. Know your genetics. Know what works and what doesn't work, and sell those buggers. Walk them across the scale. Clint, thanks again for being with us on the program. We work a lot with Allied Genetic Resources and Allied Feeding Partners, as you know, and Clint is a connection with Allied Feeding Partners. Make some phone calls and reach out to programs like Allied. See if there's an opportunity today, or start to plan to make sure that there is an opportunity in the future. And you can always reach out to Beck and I at any time. We will make sure that we get you connected to the exact person that you're looking for. Now, here is where we want to hear from you. What are you doing with this year's calf crop? Are you consigning them to a sale, selling direct, retaining some of them, maybe feeding some of those heifers to sell as breads next year? Did you purchase an LRP? Are you protecting them on the board with someone like Kirk? Let us know by calling the hotline at 707-RANCH20. Our email is ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Now, speaking of Kirk, he is on hold as we speak. We talk numbers and lots more, like upcoming sales, right here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show. Have y'all tried livestockmarket.com yet? We have updates each and every week, brought to us by auctiontime.com. We're all familiar with that one. Try livestockmarket.com. And don't forget, for all your equine needs, head to equinemarket.com. Attention cattle producers. Boost your herd's trace mineral status with Axiota Animal Health's Multi-Min 9D. This injectable solution delivers essential trace minerals known to support cattle health and reproduction. Don't settle for less when it comes to your herd health. Trust Axiota Animal Health to keep your cattle in prime condition. Visit your local supplier or veterinarian to learn more about Multi-Min 90. Multi-Min 90, because healthy cattle mean a healthy bottom line. It's time now to start adding value to those Gelbvieh and Balancer calves. The American Gelbvieh Association offers a wide variety of DNA tests and delivers its members and customers tools for success within the beef industry. You owe it to yourself by going to gelbvieh.org. The best way to raise beef on pasture, on crop residue, or in a dry lot, it's Westway feed products. Westway liquid supplements support increased forage utilization, efficiency, convenience, and sustainability. Find your nearest rep by calling 800-800-7517 or head to westwayfeed.com on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Breeding season is here, and maybe you haven't made all of your decisions yet. Maybe you're fixing to AI some cows or some heifers. Turn to Allied Genetic Resources. Top quality semen from elite bulls. With over 50,000 head marketed annually, turn to Allied Genetic Resources. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ranch It Up radio show. It's that time of the program. We bring in Kirk Donsbach, Stone X Financial Incorporated. Kirk, numbers-wise, what's going on? What's happening with the markets last week?
Good morning, Tigger. As of Friday, August 30th, September feeders closed the week at 240.45. That's up 202.5 on the week, with the CME feeder index up $1.25 at 242.95. That left the basis at a positive 250 versus September feeder futures. October live cattle closed the week at 178.67.5. That's up 310 on the week, with cash trading 183 in the south and 185 to 86 in the north. That left the 5-area weighted average down $1.99 at 183.74, and the basis versus October futures a positive 506.5. The weekly slaughter for the week ending August 30th was 611,000 head. That's 3,000 head more than last week, but 20,000 head less than the same week last year. Choice boxes were $8 lower at 309.34, a little bit concerning there. To wrap this up, December corn closed the week at 401.5. That's up 10 5/8 on the week. The chart has the potential to be established in the bottom. It is undetermined if the next pattern in corn will be sideways or higher. But it is definitely time for users of corn out there to be looking at protecting their corn buys.
Hey, all. Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com. Coming up this Wednesday, September 11th, we have our small livestock online auction. Bidding opens at just $10 a head, no reserves, all lots will sell. Over 350 head of sheep, goats, pigs, and horses, plus over 450 bales of hay. Featured lots include 150 white-headed Dorper ewes, selling on 350 head lots. They're 1 to 4 years old. They've been exposed for the last 4 months to a registered Holman Powell Ranch rams. These are low-input females that are easy shedding and produce lambs with great carcass qualities. Their genetics finish well both on grass and grain from Cherokee Dairy in Rusk, Texas. 150 head of black-headed Dorper ewes, also selling on 350 head lots, also 1 to 4 years old, and they have been exposed to those same registered Hull Powellman Ranch rams from Cherokee Dairy. 6 Dorper ewes, nice set of ewes, all healthy and ready for a new home from GM Farms in Quinlan, Texas. 4 Nigerian dwarf goats, does and bucks, selling on separate lots from Lorenzen Farms in Franklin, Ohio. 20 butcher-ready Duroc red wattle hogs, boars and gilts, 2 to 4 months old, and they're about 30 pounds from Black Canyon Family Farms. Featured hay lots include 21 tons of large square alfalfa, 3x3x8, 775 pounds, second cutting, 17% moisture with preservative from Wagner Farms, and 21 tons of large square alfalfa grass, 3x3x8, 750 pounds, no rain, barn stored, first cutting from Wagner Forages. Plus 6 quarter horses. Selling on individual lots, there's 5 mares and 1 gelding, varying ages and levels of training, from 3S Auctioneers and Anita, North Dakota. Bidding is currently live, but all lots will sell the morning of Wednesday, September 11th at 10 a.m. Central Time. Got sheep, goats, or pigs to sell? Regular small livestock online auctions, second Wednesday of every month, with hay sales every Wednesday on LivestockMarket.com and AuctionTime.com.
Do you know why you have less neighbors than your grandpa? Or have you ever wondered what stories are behind the old abandoned farmsteads and ranches across the countryside? Hey, I'm Shay Warner, and I'm the host of the Casual Cattle Conversations podcast. Brian Reisinger and I had a conversation about many of the factors that have influenced a reduction in farm and ranch numbers across the United States in the past century. From the farm crisis to urbanization to technology and more, Brian shares his insights after growing up on his family dairy and years of research in writing his book, Land Rich, Cash Poor. Here's a snippet of our conversation.
No farms, no food, no ranches, no food, right? And it is a reality that the things that are happening in rural America affect every single American dinner table. And I think it's so important for urban America to understand that, partially because we want everybody in this country to be able to eat. That's what, those of us who grow up in farms and ranches are passionate about, at least in part. And partially because if we're going to solve the issues and make it so that more farms and more ranches can continue to evolve and survive, and fewer of them fall by the wayside in ways that we didn't wish, we have to be able to address these issues as a country. And so rural and urban America both have to agree that this is important if we're going to do something about it.
Listen to the full story by searching for Casual Cattle Conversations on your favorite podcast player. Happy ranching, folks.
I tip my hat to you, from one legend to another.
Before we say fare thee well, we want to give a big old tip of the hat to all of you listeners, fans, radio stations as well, that have been listening to Ranch It Up radio show. It's hard to believe last week we celebrated our 200th episode.
And a lot of you reached out and sent us emails and text messages saying congratulations, can't wait to hear 200 more. So if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here each and every week.
That's all right. Thank you.
And now that's going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks from our crew to yours. One more time, Clint Berry, the Haas with Superior Livestock and Allied Feeding Partners, Shay Warner with Casual Cattle Conversations, Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com, and the boss lady, Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck.
A big thank you to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Jorgensen Land and Cattle, Transova Genetics, Axiota Animal Health, bringing us Multimin and Lactopro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the American Galvy Association, Imogene Ingredients, Pharmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources, Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, the Tri-State Livestock News, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station.
And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to follow and like us on Facebook. We have lots of updates there each and every week at Ranch It Up Show. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com, and you can call and text us 24/7 at 707-RANCH20. That's 707-726-2420. Spread the good word and join us again next week where it's always Tigger and Beck approved.
Stay ranchy and ranch it up.